Hi there, Lillian. It's good to be back again, and I think this will be our final segment today, which is exciting. And I know you have some questions, and we're going to do a little bit of a different angle on things, and you have some different areas you want to cover today.
Yeah, something really important. I want to talk about tax assessments.
Okay.
And first of all, I wanted to know what the different values on your tax assessment form represent.
Actually, you know what, Lillian? That's a really good question. I think people, when they receive their property tax assessment notice, are a little bit perplexed by these different figures and what they represent. And presently, the tax assessment offices have your taxes reviewed on a 4-year cycle. And in the 4-year cycle, the first figure that you would see, if you take 2012 as an example, would be the highest value represented in your 4-year cycle. And immediately below that, you'll see a phase-in value for the present year that's being taxed. So again, the tax year of 2012 would represent actually 4 years hence that value. And you're building up to it with the present value being the phase-in value for that year. And each year, your tax would be incrementally and equally increased in that 4-year period. So that's really what the 4 values mean.
Oh, okay. And how do you know if your assessment is fair and equitable?
Excellent question. And I think probably people will ask themselves, you know, representative or compared to the houses that are selling in the neighborhood, perhaps you think that that value you're being assessed at is higher than what your price, your property could fetch on an open market, for instance. And the way to figure that out would be things like, if you have, comparatively speaking, from the last 4-year cycle to this cycle, had dramatic changes in your property, perhaps permits, building permits, or whatever have you, or reclassification from agricultural to residential, or residential to commercial, whatever have you. All of those things would trigger a tax review or an increase in your assessment, or both. So those are things to look out for. If you've had any previous or recent building permits on your property being issued for either pools, additions, separate buildings being put onto your property, then those things would trigger an increase in your taxes or a reclassification.
Right, okay. And what remedies can a homeowner seek to find if their property was fairly and equitably assessed?
And what to do about it if perhaps it wasn't, which is a really good point. Oh, of course, you know, you're absolutely right. Because if you're in that situation, you want to know what the remedy could be. The first thing where you want to start is on your notice of assessment form that you receive from MPAC. Bottom right-hand corner, if my recollection serves me correctly, on the first page, is an opportunity called My Property Line. And on that, you'll receive a username and a password that will give you an opportunity to check yourself how your property was assessed by MPAC. You know, what comparables were used, whether the dimensions for your property and all those things are accurate. And if they're not, or you feel that the properties being used are not fair and equitable, then you can take that information, go to MPAC first and seek advice. You can also apply for an R for R, for reconsideration of your tax assessment if you feel strongly that, you know, this is inequitably being served to you as an assessment value. Those are probably the best answers to those questions, because in the scheme of the tax assessment portfolio, you as a homeowner have the right at this point to disagree or appeal the assessment that's been given to you, especially if you feel you have good information to challenge that. And we are certainly be helpful in the appraisal field to be able to assist in that role, and would be able to help consult with a client in order for them to build that portfolio together.
Right.
So that would be our pleasure and our challenge to be able to assist someone in that endeavor.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful. It's been so great chatting with you these last couple of weeks.
Well, and same with you. Your questions have been great, Lillian. I really appreciate them, and hope that we're going to be able to give some information to the folks out there who can use this information, and in turn perhaps use our services in the attempt to find out better things about their home, properties, and all the rest of it, and we can serve them in that capacity.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks very much.